Hey YouTube, we're here with the Aero Commander UMX. Just working on some LEDs, LED lighting. Now this is going to be part 3 for us. And we're just getting ready to install what we'd like as a simulated white light for the wheel. And since these are removable landing gear, we have to make some tough decisions about that. Meaning we don't really actually want the LED to be on the leg of the landing gear, because that's going to be very challenging to keep and maintain for the unlikely time that I go without gear. I really kind of like going with gear, but I trust that at some point I might try it without gear. Okay, so what that means for us today and right this moment is that we're going to be mounting it probably something like this or this. We want it to point downward slightly, and we want it to point forward. It would be very nice if we could additionally point it so it shines at the nose of the plane, but the further back the better, because we're going to shine at more of the plane. So as we fly by, you'll see more of the plane, which will be cool, but we don't want it to be so low that it looks totally unincorporated from the light. This is where it would be in real life. It'd be right up toward the top. So this and this, it's just not going to make that big of a difference in visibility, because it's going to blind your eye where you're looking anyway. These are very intense lights. So now the other concern becomes, do we want it to be long like this, or do we want it to be flat? And I think we want it to be flat in this case. So my first thought would be to very delicately bend the LED wires. And I say very delicately because these are solid core. You're not going to get like 14 bends out of this. Not when you've got it nice and rigid like that. And just, I think what we're going to do for now is we're just more or less going to get this thing where we want it. Oh, and incidentally, I did find a red that matches this nicely, so I can probably go ahead and use some backing to actually set this LED up. Boy, that is weird. I bent that the wrong way. Are you kidding? That was sort of stupid. I had the LED pointed the wrong way. Dang. So this will actually become this the LED for this side. Then this one's the tail light, so we'll actually set that aside for now. And then this will be our other side. Sorry about that, guys. So we'll just take this. We had to do them all at some point anyway. So I'm supporting with this finger. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I'm supporting it, and then I'm running my fingernail tight into my other fingertip, and that's going to help to straighten these wires nice and smooth, so that they're extremely straight. Don't pull too hard; you will rip it. Okay, so now I can take and do kind of the same thing except opposite. So I'm just making a nice tight bend. Okay, very good. So now we need something to back this. And when I say back this, I mean I need some structure to mount it on. And so we need to have something to wipe the tip of our glue. We need something in terms of glue. It's open for once, that's a miracle. And then we need some cotton, probably. Some cotton could come by way of a cotton swab like this, or you could use Q-tips, whichever you prefer. I like using cotton because it's very easy to shape. It ends up being quite strong, and it's relatively light. Okay, so what I want to do is I just kind of want to get the shape. And remember, this is supposed to be like the landing gear, so if there's a way for us to make it look or simulate that it's the landing gear, all the better. So I actually want to try to do it on the actual plasticky area that receives the landing gear. But just warning to you guys that actually take gear on and off a lot, these things will break out on a rough landing, so maybe it would be wise to go onto the foam. Just right ever so slightly in front of it. No, we're going to paint that. We're going to paint that thing, so... Okay, so I have this little triangular shape cotton thing. Now I'm just going to take and just do one little area here. Keeping in mind that kicker is not a good friend of this paint, and it will screw with you if you use too much of it. So be sparing with your use of accelerant on painted surfaces. So now I'm going to run a little drip on top, and I'm just going to encourage it to stay there so that it can soak into the product. Now you could use a thin instead of a medium, and that would be maybe a desirable choice. The trouble you run into if you do that, crap, now I kind of need to quickly grab a Q-tip because I had a drip of glue that went forward. Okay, so just pick it up, rotate the Q-tip, and then pick it up. Okay, very good. Every once in a while you'll get a string that just wants to be a pain in the butt like that one. Just peel it out if you can. I don't know if you guys could see that. It's very difficult to see, I'm sure. So now that we have that starting to be established, we can start seeing how that's going to look. Now, if you wanted to, a guy could use just a drip of hot glue too, but I found that hot glue is actually very heavy. Now you'll notice I'm just touching this with my finger. And I hate getting CA all over my fingers, but let's just be real, guys. You're probably going to get CA on your fingers doing this project. So you might want to just kind of get ready for it a little bit. Okay, so a little bit more CA here. Just trying to tame all these little stragglers. It's going to look a little bit like a blob of glue. But don't worry, it's going to be a nearly clear blob of glue that you can then paint. Wouldn't probably expect to do a whole lot of sanding or anything like that. This wire is kind of fighting me a little bit though. This is where you kind of got to be careful about your shape and angle that you want your light to shine. Okay, so remember I said be sparing with this, so be sparing with it. Don't go too crazy. Now remember, you'll be able to reshape this a little bit, but not like an infinite amount. And I think I waited just a little bit too long to do that. You see how the CA displaced out of there when I pushed on it? Like I said, you'll be able to reshape it, but you got to just be a little bit careful. Okay, so I'm pulling it forward just a little bit now, because I want the forward-facing light. I don't want it necessarily pointed tons down. It is a lot easier to control and manipulate this now that I've got the kicker on there, because it's set up so much faster. Okay, so now my next step, don't mess with the kicker, just let it kind of do its thing. The next step, there is some kicker in there still. This next step is going to be more to kind of get the shape right, the way you want the shape to be, and a little bit less about strength. And then also in terms of like trying to protect the LED itself. You're probably thinking, that looks really ugly. Well, it is probably a little bit ugly, but it'll be fine. Nobody's gonna die. Okay, so now the option becomes, let's go ahead and get this wire down and around so that it's out of the way. Now we could just follow this channel. That'd probably work pretty decent. Because yeah, we could just chase them where the ESCs are. The trouble is we're not going to be able to get back there as easy as we will when we... Might be better to just stick with this other grouping of wires. So the other thing is you can tell there's a difference in length, which will help us to determine which one's which later. Okay, so you see how this is going at a little bit of a sweep? That's exactly what I want to happen. So now, I'm thinking on this, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut a channel. Not a deep channel, just a channel, okay? And the function of this channel is to just allow us to tuck these wires down in there. So let's hope I can do that now. If not, we wasted a cut in the material, which is a bummer if we did, but that's life too. What do I have to push that in with? We need the thinner end. Okay, so I need to sort of separate these wires from one another a little bit. I think I see what's going to end up happening here, guys. There we go. Okay. So I just pulled it tight and it dropped down in there like I was expecting it would. Good. I need a different tool though. This soldering tool sometimes helps with stuff like this. It might be too big still. I don't know. We'll try it. Yeah, that's too big still. Let's go for the super micro screwdriver here. Still probably too big. Okay, so now I'm just going to pull this individual strand, try to walk it down into that groove. Oh, there we go. Get in there. Okay, looks like my fingernail's working okay. Except that it's still very awkward. Like I was saying earlier, this plane is just plain and simple difficult to hold. I don't like using that because it's metallic and it's probably strong enough it could score the wire. I think I would have been better off to possibly just tape it down, because by the time I'm done screwing with that, it would have been just probably better looking to just tape the dang thing down. And if I don't like the way it looks, just paint the tape. Okay, so that being said, I think we've screwed around enough with it to where I can just go ahead and run a little bit of CA over the top of it to hold it in place. Let's see if we can just get this last little bit pushed down though. Okay. I kind of dread doing these projects anymore. It's like I really like the outcome, but it's such a pain in the butt. Then God forbid something goes wrong. See, the other thing is I got a nasty angle. I got an angle like this, if you imagine. And I really wanted it to be pointed like this so it would shine onto the plane. Right now it's pointed off into the left field. So, not the end of the world, but not really what I was going for. Little kicker. Push that thing down in the seam as much as you can while it's sitting there. See? Dang it. Stupid glue allowed it to pop up, and now it's glued next to the seam now. That's a bummer. Let's see if we can pull it up without damaging it. We'll just have to be willing to accept no for an answer on this. And that would be, I think I got the wrong one. One of the two shorter ones. It's this one. Okay. They're all the same color, so it's quite difficult to tell. No, that's probably not going to work so hot. Okay, whatever. I knew that was going to pull the paint. That's okay. In this case, I'd rather have it in position the way I want it, because I need it to line up darn near perfect down here so it can get into the channel properly. So this time I didn't put any kicker on, I'm just kind of rubbing down there until it works. That seemed to work okay. Not ideal, but okay, so we've got that done-ish. So now another challenge comes. We got to get these into the inside of the plane. And for the moment, we'll just kind of leave that in that strange shape that we've got going right there. Obviously, at some point, we're going to probably come back in with some more material and fill that in. It's very strong, though. It's hard, like a stone. Okay, so we got these 4 wires, and I'm going to pause it. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to get something to hold that. It was driving me nuts. So my next step is going to be to try to get those inside, but I'm actually wondering if maybe it would make better sense to wait and get the other side through. But honestly, then I'm just dealing with all this excess cable in here. So I think the next move is to go ahead and get this through. Let's just get it done. Okay, so let's make sure we're not tangled up first. I mean, ultimately it's going to go to the same spot, but if it's tangled real badly, it could cause problems getting through. Okay, so that helped a little bit. Okay, so we got those separated now. So now the next step is to hold up the plane and verify we have somewhere to go to. Yep, we do. Now I may need to shorten this. See how this is wider than the opening? So we're going to take and very carefully trim this back. Okay. Okay, so we should be good now. Yep, there it is. So that's through. So now that that's through, I wonder if it'd make good sense to just glue this other half on as well. Or if it'd make better sense, this is not passing through near as far as we were trying to go through the nacelle. So you remember how I had to cut that short? Well, now of course we got to get it out of the fuse, so it's a good thing I cut it short. I probably could have cut it a little bit shorter yet. Still accomplishing my goals. Okay, so now I'm going to take and try not to pivot it yet. Get up under this tip. I can complete the pull. Get the wire through. Okay, so now that we've got that through, we'll just slip it like this. Get it all the way through. Why does the one wire not want to continue? There we go. Okay, so one thing you'll notice is that it's not all the way through yet. And that's because I'm kind of feeling some resistance. And sometimes if you pull too hard on this stuff, since it's so narrow, it'll just cut through the foam. I mean, I'm not pulling that hard, but I want to make sure I'm getting in the right spot. There it goes, finally. Okay, good, so I got it through. Now I just need to basically do the same thing with the other set. But we're going to have the added benefit of having wires in the way on this one. Shouldn't be that big a deal, really, to get these through. We're just going to slide one in. We'll just let the other one go. Okay, slide it in. Oh, it went through super easy. It's already through. Oh, that was crazy easy. And then the second one. Trying to kind of keep them in the same area there, guys. Okay, slide it through. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to set it on top of the prop. Okay, grab these two wires here. And then pull gently. Try not to get any kinks in it. So like at this point there's more of this wire than that. So I'm going to push a little bit of that through to get them evened out. It's JST is just like right in the way this whole time. It's really annoying. I wonder if I could tuck it. I'm going to tuck it up into the linkage there. Okay. Okay, so same thing we did before. We're just going to very carefully get these wires pulled tight. This time we just need to be mindful we don't damage this spot here where the glue is still holding. Okay, that looks really nice, guys. You can barely even tell it's there. Real happy with that. Now look at that, there's no tape over this part. So I could conceivably try to tuck that down there. Or just tape it down in the groove. That's fine too. The groove's probably what I'm going to go for. Okay, so just getting that bundled up there. Just give her a little bit of a tug on both sides to give her a neat position. Okay, so now we're going to take a piece of tape. We've already got this piece of tape. See how it's kind of long? We'll just take this first half piece. This is plenty long. And then we need to get about just past where my finger is. Yep, that should be about right. Okay, so this is a very awkward spot because now I need like 7 hands, but even if I had 7 hands, I wouldn't have enough room to do this next step, which is to pull tight the bundle of wires again, because it just wanted to relax back to a slobby mess. Okay, so I'm just kind of holding on both sides. I really want to get this back to where it goes back onto the carbon fiber area, but I just don't know if that's going to work. I think we'll just do the best we can with what we got, which is right there. We're just going to tape it down, and honestly that looks pretty decent. I can live with that. Okay, so now keeping in mind it's taped, but try to keep the tape off the painted surfaces if you can, because that paint will come off when you pull that tape. So now we have one side done. That went surprisingly simple. I'm really surprised actually how easy that went. Now you can actually even fine-tune those wires a little bit more yet still by pulling on them, even though they're taped down. And we'll just bring that over to the side. Okay, so looking like we're getting close to time again, which is regrettable. I like the way that went between the colored light and the landing gear light. So what I'm going to probably do next is maybe we'll just start in on the tail light assembly. Nah, we'll do the other side first, because really I think we're going to try to emulate very closely what we had done. Oh shoot, I left that on. That was kind of dumb. Okay, so this is the red light, which is going to be, according to our drawing, it's going to be uh-oh. Did I screw up? Son of a gun, I screwed up. I put the green light over here. Dang it, that is a bummer. Now I got to make a decision, a tough decision. What do I do about that? Because I totally did that wrong. And this is a standard configuration. It's going to look like it's flying away from me. I don't know if my brain is going to be in tune with the color scheme quite enough to notice the difference, but I think that I owe it to myself to get it right. I just don't know how big of a fiasco it's going to be to get it right. So why don't I figure this out real quick. We didn't glue this in yet, which is ironic that we didn't do that. Normally we would glue this right away. I'm double checking my naysayerness. Okay, and we are absolutely upside down, and this is right side up. So we have it wrong currently. So I gotta flip that around. Dang. Alright guys, with that being said, this is gonna finish off video number 3 for the LED project on the Aero Commander UMX. When we come back to you, I'm gonna have my green probably swapped out for red, and then we'll pick it back up from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned. There'll be more coming soon.